Hi, Jason. Just can you explain what made you pick the Sabres and just what you see from the team and Lindy and what Kevin kind of told you about the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's an exciting opportunity to come in and play with an extremely talented group. Um, Playing against Buffalo the last few years has not been a fun game to play against with the amount of talent, the decor, and I think it's only getting better. So for me, I'm looking forward to kind of bringing that little bit of a veteran side of things, and a little bit of my style of play is more of a gritty style. So hopefully I can bring that aspect along with a lot of the skill that's on this team and help out as much as I can. So talking to answer your question further, talking to Lindy and Kevin Adams is, that's kind of what they want from me is to bring kind of the veteran leadership side of things, but also bring, that grit and speed to the game that I normally play with.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hey, Jason. Matt Fairburn here from The Athletic. I'm curious, Kevin mentioned he thinks you can play, about as high up in the lineup as possible, really. They like your ability to kind of move up and down lines. What's been your approach when you've played with some really skilled players to kind of, maximize that opportunity and fit in on those top lines?
Yeah. For me, a lot of it's about just playing my game. I think my biggest asset is my speed and my forechecking. So for me, being able to play, when I played with Evgeny Malkin and Sid and those guys, it was go in there and get pucks back. If pucks end up in the corners, go get them back and then let their skill take over. I'm not afraid to be at the net, stand at the net, and kind of take a beating net front, throughout a game. I think I have a knack around the net to get open and find soft spots. And when I was playing with Malkin, I think we had a good chemistry in that sense, and I see a lot of the same similarities with the Tage Thompson, with an Alex Tuch, with Rasmus Dahlin. The list goes on this team, and I think that's what's exciting for me is I can use my assets, my speed, my forechecking, my grit, and those things to let those guys accentuate their skill and maybe have a little bit more room, have a few more touches in the ozone, and hopefully help their games a lot as well.
Thanks, Jason.
Hi, Jason. Congrats on the contract.
Thank you.
Wanted to know what your impressions of were of playing against Buffalo in previous seasons, and also what it was like playing against the New Jersey Devils while Lindy Ruff was coaching them the past couple of years. What takeaways did you have from that you liked about that game?
Yeah, I'll start with Lindy Ruff. I mean, Lindy's reputation, is incredible. He's been in the league for a very long time, and he's had a lot of success in this league. And there's a reason that he continues to get coaching jobs. And for us playing against New Jersey, it's a very fast game. It's a high tempo game, high pace, and it's making teams trying to keep up. And it's a high skill game as well. But he tries to make sure that he has enough grit within his lineup to complement that skill. And I think that's something that he does a very good job of when he's honing his teams together. And, you got to give him a ton of credit for the success he's had and kind of the formula that he's used throughout those years. So, I think it's a tough game to play against. And I think getting off to a fast start for this season is going to be huge. Hopefully just kind of build it from there. And a lot of it just comes from confidence. And all these guys have a crazy amount of skill and have played the game enough to know you can't get behind the eight ball to start a year. And, that's something that Lindy and I talked about. And I think we're going to push hard to start this season and just kind of keep going from there. But as far as, the Sabres go, the past few years, it's a lot of the same, a lot of skill, a lot of pace. It's not a fun game to play against them, night in and night out. And so, again, I'm hoping that I can come bring an element, of physicality, of speed to the game that's only going to complement all the skill that's already on this roster.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Hi, Jason. Mike Harrington of the Buffalo News here. Owing that you certainly, as you mentioned, played with Malkin, what do you think has to happen for you to get back to that level of offense? And how would you characterize this past season for you?
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it's about deployment. I mean, there's so many aspects of my game that I feel I can play up and down the lineup, but at the same time, if you look up and down the lineup on essentially any roster, um, the point production as you go down the lineups typically decrease. And I think for me, it was something, with Arizona, there was a ton of skill at the top of the lineup. And, I kind of got slotted in at that third line role. And I think if you look at a third line role production and things of that sort, I don't mind the year that I had. At the same time, my expectations of myself are a lot higher. And I still feel that I have that aspect in my game. And I think I showed that at certain points. And I think I showed that to a different level, even when I got to Nashville at the end of last season. So I know it's still there. I know my speed's still there. I know, when I look at my playoffs with Nashville, I was happy with how I played. And, I think I still have that element. I think I just need to come in here and find some chemistry with the guys in the room, and find it on the ice and just be able to put it all into place. And I think Buffalo is a great place to be able to do that.
And as you move on in your career, what were some of the takeaways you had of being a teammate of Malkin and Sid that you can, learn from and use, keep going forward?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different aspects of that. From Sid's side of things, it's just another level as far as preparation, professionalism, and the way that he goes about the game every single day. With a guy like Malkin, he's more of a free spirit, but at the same time, he's one of the most competitive guys I've ever played with. And he's not afraid to give you an earful if you're not playing up to his expectations. And but at the same time, he's one of the funniest guys in the locker room. So it's a little bit of both elements. It was fun to see both sides of it. I've been very fortunate to see throughout my career some of the best leaders in this game, from Sid and even seeing a guy like Ryan O'Reilly and Roman Josi last year. Seeing Mikko Koivu and Zach Parise and Ryan Suter. I mean, I've had a wide array of different leaders that I've played with. Matt Cullen, the list kind of goes on. And so it's been a lot of fun for me. And I kind of taken pieces from every one of those guys. And, there's always going to be things you like or dislike about certain guys. And I've tried to piece it all together to be the leader that I am.
Thanks.
Jason, what was your reaction to some of the other signings Buffalo made? I know you mentioned you like to bring a physical presence, and it seems like you're not going to be the only one in this group now that's going to be able to do that. There's a few other guys. What did you think of some of the other moves?
I thought it was great. I mean, I think it's a piece of the game that the physicality in our game is hard to play against, in the speed and the pressure. When you're in another team's face all night, you're hitting them, your speed and taking away their time and space, not letting them make the plays they want to make. It's extremely difficult to play against. And I think the teams that have the most success, when you look at the Floridas of the world, when you look at even Nashville over that stretch that they had last year, it was the amount of time and space that they were taking away from teams. Teams were just being suffocated. And I think that's an element that we can bring. And the physicality is a huge piece of that. So, I know Sam Lafferty really well. He's a good friend of mine from in Pittsburgh, and I love his game. I mean, he brings a crazy amount of speed. The physicality is a lot of fun to watch, and so I think for us, we're going to be bringing more of that, and I think it's going to make us a lot harder to play against next year.
Coming to a place where, these guys haven't won in a while, I'm curious what your leadership style is like and kind of, how you approach that without, trying to be too over the top about it, right? That you've, had some success before, but how you approach coming into a situation like this.
For me, I'm a big advocate of confidence. And for me, when you come into a season as the Buffalo Sabres, you need to say we're going to go make the playoffs. And in the East, you're going to be hard pressed to find 8 teams that should not make the playoffs realistically, right? So that means there's going to be a lot of really good teams that are missing the playoffs, and we just have to, have that confidence and that swagger from day one, and make sure that every single game that we're going into and every single night, we're playing with that swagger and that confidence, and it's just going to build, and ultimately once it starts building, you're going to go through the hard stretches. There's going to be those times, and you just got to try to limit them. It can't be a 5, 6, 7, 8 game skid. It can be 2 or 3, and then you got to try to stop it, and you got to get back on the horse again and just keep going. So for me, that's kind of what I'm going to try to bring is like, when I was in Pittsburgh, learned from these guys, that was something we harped on. It was the consistency of making sure that, making sure that every single night you brought it, and it was just as meaningful as, game 1 to game 82.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Hi, Jason. I was just wondering, did you have a conversation with Alex Tuch before you signed? Did you discuss, Buffalo and everything here? I know you were teammates with him. Did you guys talk before you signed?
No, we didn't. It was kind of a crazy process, the way that it all went down, and free agency is just chaos in and of itself. So, I did have a chance to talk with him after, and get his thoughts. I did talk to a few others as well. A bunch of the guys reached out to me, which was great to hear from them. I've heard nothing but great things about the group. And so I'm looking forward to it, but no, to answer your question fully, I did not get to talk to him prior.
All right, do we have any more questions for Jason? All right, thanks so much for taking the time today, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Take care.